Hi everybody, it's Honest John. Well, the Republican debates are coming up. I believe it's on Thursday. They're being held at the Reagan Library. And so I thought it might be a good time to take a look at the record and legacy of a man who is continually extolled as the ideal Republican. To begin with, Reagan opposed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act. He kicked off his campaign for president at the State Fair in Neshoba County, Mississippi, with the words, "I believe in states' rights." Thus began the Republican Party's active courtship of the racist vote in America. He installed as the head of the Justice Department Bradford Reynolds, an ultra-conservative who was hostile to the civil rights movement. The 5 conservative justices who gutted the Voting Rights Act were all either appointed by Reagan or served in his administration. Reagan also supported the apartheid regime in South Africa. So yes, Ronald Reagan was a racist who installed like-minded people into positions of power, including the Supreme Court. But Ronald Reagan wasn't just hostile to black people, he was hostile to the American worker as well. This came to a head with the air controllers strike. The controllers were protesting working conditions that not only were harmful to them, but made every air traveler, every person who got on a flight in the United States unsafe. And keep in mind, the union had met with Reagan before the election, and Reagan had promised to work with them on these issues. And he got their endorsement. And then, as soon as he became president, he broke his promise to them. He fired the air controllers, breaking the union. But Reagan's hostility to unions began long before that. As head of the actors union, he went to Congress and testified against his own members. As governor of California, Reagan fought against unionizing farm workers, and 3 times he vetoed bills establishing unemployment insurance for them. And Reagan encouraged businesses to take a hard line with unions and supported right-to-work registration. At the same time, Reagan added trillions of dollars to the national debt by giving huge tax cuts to the rich. He then raised taxes on the middle class 7 times. He also eliminated the Lyndon Johnson poverty programs, which had completely eliminated hunger in America. So Reagan brought back hunger, and his policies increased unemployment and income inequality. He also cut funds to mental health facilities, which increased the number of mentally ill people living on the streets. Reagan failed to confront the AIDS epidemic, resulting in thousands of deaths, including people in my own family. Reagan failed to confront the threat of global warming. Instead, he turned it into a partisan issue. And today, as a result of that, the threat of global warming is increasing every day. We're facing more severe droughts, bigger storms, and rising oceans. And in addition to illegally selling weapons to Iran and supporting repressive dictatorships in South America and all over the world, Reagan also helped to create the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. In short, if you look at his record, if you really look at it, Reagan was as bad a president as George W. Bush, and that's hard to do. And yet, this racist anti-worker, pro-1% asshole as a Republican icon. But if he were around today, he would be too liberal for today's Republican Party. Think about that. Thanks for listening.